All right, the big story breaking right now. A crucial meeting of Delhi's Disaster Management Authority has just concluded. And the big news coming out of that meeting is that several of Delhi's COVID restrictions are now being lifted. Chief among them, the weekend curfew that's been in effect for almost a month now. Restaurants and bars will also reopen with 50% capacity. However, the decision that's left, or rather lack of decision that's left everyone puzzled. No decision yet on when schools are going to reopen. Sonakshi joining us at this point with the latest on that. Sonakshi, what are we hearing?
Well, that DDMA meet has finally concluded, and from the conclusions, the DDMA, the Delhi government, they met and they further decide to ease the curfew, the restrictions in the national capital. We had a night curfew in place. The night curfew will continue, but the weekend curfew has been removed for Delhi now, which essentially means that on Saturdays and on Sundays, shops and bars and restaurants will be allowed to open, but with 50% capacity. So the restrictions have been eased, have not been taken off 100% completely. Schools, however, will continue to remain shut. This was something that Deputy Chief Minister Sisodia had tweeted out yesterday, saying that he agrees with the demands of the schools to be reopened in the national capital. He met a group of parents who signed a petition, but perhaps that was not on the table of discussion today. Perhaps it was discussed, but a decision was not concluded on that. And until the next DDMA meet, schools will continue to remain shut in Delhi. In addition to this, we are also understanding that the odd-even formula on which shops were allowed to function so far, the odd-even will also be removed for the shopkeepers. Remember, the trader communities have been protesting and had gone to the Chief Minister with their demands that the odd-even be completely removed. In addition to this, people will be allowed to participate in a marriage function. Cinema halls as well will be allowed to function at 50% capacity in the national capital, starting soonest, perhaps tomorrow. But yes, the Delhi disaster management has eased the curbs, the curfew-like situation in the national capital, keeping in mind that the health minister today on record said, as for him, that the COVID situation is under control and that today Delhi is expected to report less than 5,000 COVID cases and that the positivity rate will come down below the 10% mark. So this is the latest that we have.
Yes, so from that. My key question, of course, now is where does this leave parents and school children? Because on the one hand, you have cinemas reopening, you have bars and restaurants reopening, and yet schools still remain closed. Now, this comes at a time when 1,600 parents have petitioned the Delhi government. Delhi's Education Minister and Deputy Chief Minister is also on board with the decision to reopen schools. So, where really is the hitch? When are we likely to see a decision on this? When does the DDMA meet again?
While cinemas are allowed to function at 50% capacity, bars and restaurants have been allowed to function at 50% capacity. However, there has not been a decision that has been taken for schools to reopen yet in the national capital. What we have been made to understand today from this meeting is that till the next meet, the DDMA meet, it should be perhaps in the later this week or the next week, but only in the next DDMA meet is when we will get more clarity whether schools will continue or whether schools will continue to remain shut or whether they will reopen. But the point that over 1,500 parents signed a letter, a petition, they've been spearheading campaigns and writing to the Delhi government. They met the Delhi Deputy Chief Minister, the Education Minister himself, Manish Sisodia, demanding that schools be reopened. And their demands will now, of course, be more stronger today after today's decision. They will further reiterate their same demands. But yes, till the further decision is taken, so far today, we know that schools will continue to remain shut in Delhi.
All right, Sonakshi, thanks very much indeed for joining us with those latest details.